Hello and welcome to day 6 of our November challenge, where for the 30 days of November, we're going to be here chatting live about ways to say no to things that do not serve you or do not serve your home. I've been delighted with the reception so far, and I've been delighted with the response that I'm getting, and it's resonating with lots of you. So I do hope you're having a lovely Sunday and that you're doing something really nice for yourself. And I hope that some people can pop in and say hello to me. So today I'm going to be talking about how to say no to wasting money in your home. I think if we were to be honest, we're all a little bit guilty of this. Somebody's coming in. Hi there. We're all a little bit guilty of this. But there are ways that you can stop wasting money in your home. And I've got five tips for you. Lots more people coming in. Give me the love hearts, and you know what? Then the algorithm will pick up on that, and more people will get a notification that we're live, because that's the way it works. So I do hope you're all having a lovely, lovely Sunday. It's gorgeous here. It's actually really sunny. I've been lying out all morning, and I'm going to go for a 10k walk when I'm finished here. But it's I love this topic. Brilliant. I love it too. I have to say I love it too, because it breaks my heart sometimes when people come to me and they've already blown their budget on things that do not work in their house, or things that were just bad purchases. So the very first thing that I'm going to tell you to do is to stop right now. Don't spend anything until you hear what I have to say to you and until you implement what I'm going to tell you to do. The very first thing I'm going to tell you to do is to shop your house. And if you don't know what that means, what it is to reuse and repurpose and reposition and move about the things that you currently have in your home. Because I have this theory that furniture arrives, the delivery men bring it into your room, they plonk it down somewhere, you never move it. So we could be talking about moving sofas from one room to another, moving occasional pieces like a chest of drawers or a table or an occasional chair or something like that from one room to another. Even if you just do this as an exercise just to see how it works, it gives a whole new energy to your space. Now, if you take it a step further and you start moving rugs and art around, it definitely changes up the energy, because you get so used to seeing things in the one spot. So if you're going to shake up your cushions, your rugs, your art, your accessories, floral arrangements, mirrors, lamps, and move them around, I guarantee somebody will come into your house and say, gosh, you've got new furniture, or you've changed up this room, because it will seem so completely different. Another way that you can shop your house as well is to look around and say, maybe in your bedroom, you've got a set of furniture that's a bit dated looking. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a little bit dated looking. It might be a timber like elm or ash that was in vogue or beech some time ago, but sadly has dated. All you need to do with that furniture is to give it a very light sanding, prime it with something like bin primer or the Fleetwood primers, and paint it in a satinwood paint. Change the knobs. You've got brand new furniture and you haven't spent anything. That's a hard word to say. Revelation. I'm a revelation, am I? I don't know. Yeah, but listen, when I get passionate about something, and this is a topic that I am so passionate about, because you all know that when we bought our old house in Dublin, we came back from Bermuda with a bit of money that we'd saved, and we thought in our innocence that we'd buy a house, we'd never have a mortgage. Well, that didn't happen. The house took all of the money that we'd saved, plus we did have a big mortgage, and then we realized that we had an old house that was gorgeous on a beautiful road and a beautiful garden, but it was a wreck and it needed so much money to be spent on it, and we didn't have money to spend on it. So that's how I learned how to do all of these things. I used to beat a track down to Buckley's auction house, and I think it was a Tuesday or Wednesday, and the auction then would be the next day. And I was never able to stay for the auction because I had to pick the boys up from school at 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock or whatever time it was, and I'd leave bids. And sometimes I could get a garage full of stuff, and I'd be hiding stuff for fear that Neil would see what I'd found. But you know something? I learned how to French polish because we had an old house. So I had a good eye, and I was able to pick pieces that were beautiful in really bad condition, and then I restored them myself. Neil used to joke that if our boys, stood still long enough, which thankfully they never would do, that I'd probably paint them as well. He would go off, he used to work abroad, he was working for a Swiss company, and he'd be away a lot during the week, and he could come home and everything could be changed. I could have painted a room, I could have painted furniture, I could have moved things around, but the one thing I didn't do was spend much money, and that is the truth. So shop your house. Even look at, you might have a little occasional chair in one of your bedrooms, and if you paint the frame of it and pop out the seat, and maybe you've got a remnant of fabric, beautiful fabric somewhere else. Use the template that comes off that chair. I've often done this, and I'm not one bit handy. Pop it out, take it off, and it's a pain in the neck because you're taking off the staples that have stapled down. Now, you will need to buy yourself a staple gun, which every house should have one, but it means that you cut your fabric out in exactly the same shape as the fabric that went on it, and you put it back. And with mine, there was always a little trim, that beaded brass trim that comes at little lengths, and you nail it down. Well, I would just replace exactly the same trim. But I remember I had ugly little mahogany chairs that had a raspberry pink seat on them that were very dated. And I decided to revamp one of our spare bedrooms, and I painted. There was a mishmash of furniture. There was a pine bed, there were white lockers, and I think there was a pine dressing table. I painted everything black, everything. And then I got this little chair and I painted it black too. And I had a piece of black and white fabric left over from RTE Show House. And it was it was a white background with a big flower in the middle, like a lily or something. And I centered that in the middle of the seat and did exactly what I told you to do. Take off the fabric, use that as a template and put it back down. That room looked amazing. I think I even sprayed, I had a little white or silver, one of those cage light shades that had little bits of crystal hanging from it. And I think I painted that black as well. So what I want you to do is think outside the box. Think about how you could shop your house, because it really will give you energy. But one thing that I will ask you to do, if you're shopping your house, say you want to revamp a room for Christmas and the budget is pretty tight, you really need to empty out that room to the bare bones so that you're left with the floor and the walls. And if you want to paint, well, now's the time to do that. So maybe you might take maybe you'll take your same, say we'll take your same sofas back in again, and they're in reasonable condition. And if they're not, you just put throws on them. I have white sofas here that are not aqua clean, and I know that my fake tan will transfer on them. So I have throws that I got. They're gorgeous, actually. You can't see them because they're down below me, but they've got a self pattern of a herringbone, very subtle, but absolutely gorgeous. They're Irish linen, they're beautiful. And fringed, but they look fabulous. And then I've got cushions, and I've loads more cushions coming. So if you cover up your sofa, or if you move a sofa, swap sofas from one room to another if they'll fit, or even half a sofa, take a chair in from somewhere else, take an occasional chair in, dress your windows again, start taking in bits of furniture, maybe lamp tables or chests or coffee tables or Nessa tables or whatever from another room, bring them in to a different room and change out your lamps as well. Sometimes buying a new lampshade for your lamp. You might have dated lamps. I think those ones with the coolie shades are a bit dated. So if you get ones that have a drum shade, they're much more contemporary, and they will absolutely just give your lamp a new lease of life. You could even paint the base of your lamp as well. Say it was ugly in pine, you could paint it a stone color, or you could paint it black, or you could paint it gray, whatever works with your color scheme. And another thing too, if your lamp is quite short, if you turn your lamp shade upside down so that the highest part is, the highest part of the shade is upwards rather than downwards, that will actually make your lamp seem much more elegant. You can paint mirror frames, you can paint picture frames. Another thing I've encouraged you to do is go to the antique shops or the secondhand shops or the charity shops. Happy Sunday to you too. And get a load of, sometimes they'll sell boxes of pictures, and they might be awful pictures. So what you do is, you're going to use the frames and the glass, and you're going to paint the frame, and you're going to order prints online that you'll cut down to work in, and you've got gorgeous art ready made and ready to go. So you know what? I've nearly got your whole house decorated, and we haven't spent 1 cent. Okay? So shopping your home, definitely the first thing that I'd urge you to do. Second thing, and this is really, really important, you need to know your own style. If you want to have a successful design going through your house, you absolutely need to educate yourself. You need to know what your style is. Is it contemporary? Is it classical? Is it eclectic? Is it country? Is it transitional? You absolutely need to know that, because when you have that, you will have congruence going through your house. It's not going to be matchy cookie cutter design. That is not what I want you to have. I really want you to have your personality shining through your design, and you'll do that with your accents and your art, and the things that you add in, but you must know your style if you want to have a home that really works, that really flows, where everything just melds and flows and ebbs right from one room to another. There's a gorgeous sense of flow. It's a bit like going into a show house that was professionally designed or a home that was professionally staged for selling. You can feel that flow. You can feel the personality. You can feel the style, and everything works on the same level. It's not boring at all, but it absolutely works, and there's beautiful flow and balance, and that's such a good thing, and it's something that I would urge all of you to do. Know your own style. The other thing that I think is really, really important that is to understand color, understand how color works, understand what colors work together, understand what, if you're painting your room, that you must know the north, south, east and west aspect of your room, and then you can decide which color to put into them based on knowledge, because what works in a south facing space oftentimes will not work on a north-facing space. Farrow Ball's French grey is one colour that I always use as an example because it's a really good example. In a south-facing space, it is the softest, most beautiful grey colour. Put it into a north-facing space and it goes a very definite green, which is fine. I've often used it and picked it deliberately to put into a north-facing bedroom because I wanted the green in the bedroom. But if you didn't want that, if you wanted the lovely soft grey that you see on the card or you've seen in somebody else's south-facing hall, and you want to recreate that in your house, so be careful. You must know the aspect of your space, become very familiar with it, download a compass app onto your phone and just know which way you're facing, and then get to know colors, understand color compatibility, how they flow together, what colors to use as accents to your neutral colors. When budgets are smaller, I would suggest that you keep your big stuff neutral, your sofas, your floors, and even your walls, even though paint is the cheapest and most transformational way to change a space. But when you have a neutral wall, then you can really add in color and texture and accessories and get a lot of fun going without necessarily spending an awful lot of money. If anybody has any particular question relating to your space, do ask me, and it'll come up here and I'll see it. Another thing that you must get to know, if you don't want to be wasting money, is to learn how to space plan. Figure out the logistics of what furniture will work in a space. I am convinced that many people have wasted a ton of money by buying the wrong size furniture for their space, in particular sofas. Because sofas are expensive, they're a big ticket item, they're not something you're going to be changing often. And I think I told you the story before. I remember doing an interior design masterclass, a live masterclass back in the day of the live masterclasses in Harvey's Point, and this gorgeous girl burst into tears at the very beginning of the class, and I didn't know what I'd said, and she looked at me and she said, Anne, I've just realised that I have wasted $5,000 on 3 sofas that I know now at this minute are not going to work in my space. And I could have cried with her because I know this happens. Showrooms are big, vast spaces, and what looks like a modest enough sofa will actually dwarf your room, and not in a good way. So, getting compatible with space, with size, and with space planning. And a little tip, I always, if you see a sofa in your shop, hi there, happy Sunday to you too. If you're in the shop and you find a sofa that you love, and get the dimensions. The shop will give you, everything's online, so they'll give you the dimensions of the sofa and what sizes it's available in. And I would urge you to go home and put down newspapers. I still do this. I could be with a bespoke manufacturer who is custom making a sofa for me for a particular space, and I will bring the plans with me, and we will work through this together, and we will decide on the optimum layout configuration. If it's an L shaped, which is the right, which is the left, how long, how high, all of that, the depth. We will absolutely create the perfect size sofa. But many a time, I always go back on site and I put down my papers, even though I have this plan. And I could modify it again. So common sense and knowing how to use a space and knowing how to fill a space is just so, so, so important. And the 5th tip I'm going to give you is you could join my recession-proof interior design course, because this is something I've never done before. And I've never done anything like this before, but I think we're living through challenging times. People's budgets are dwindling and costs are going up. So I needed to find a way to quickly ensure that people could immediately find their own style, could immediately figure out their colors and what they like and color associations and what colors make them happy and what colors to go in what spaces, how to work on their space planning, how to design a bedroom, how to design a living room, how to design their hall, how to design their kitchen and their bathrooms, and so much more. And I distilled through everything that I know and have taught before because I wanted to extract from what I've taught before and just give you quick fixes, give you exactly what you need to know to help you decide. So this is an 8-week course. It is a very affordable course. I've got 3 payment options. And if you, honestly, if I can promise you, if you do this course with me, you'll never waste another cent in your life, because it's not just an online course. I'm delivering it live because I just like the fun of that and the interaction of that. But it is an evergreen course. You can start it today. You can start it next week. You can start it at Christmas. You can start it in January. But there are 8 weeks, 8 modules, but the beauty of it is that I do have a supportive sister Recession Proof Interior Design Facebook group where I'm there and we do live trainings, and I do live trainings every week and I share so much. Just this last week, the girls got loads of extra things, including my whole piece on what colors to put in what rooms, north, south, east and west, and we delved into color and we did tons. But the very first module is the one about how to discover your style. And so many people have come back to me to say, I can't believe this. I just can't believe this. I could never figure out what my style is. And now I know. I absolutely know in a heartbeat because I've made it. That's why it's so different. I'm giving you my interior design knowledge, but I'm also giving you the practical experience that I gained long before I became an interior designer, when I designed that house in Foxrock, because that house sold at auction. I think we made a 400% profit on that house when we sold it because we were moving back to Donegal. The Irish Times featured it on the cover. It was just a really wobbly moment for me, emotional and all of that. But that house was not put together with money. So you don't need money, but you do need to know how. And I think now is not the time to bombard you with the science of interior design. What you need to know is exactly just what you need to know to help you make the decisions to design your house, to design a beautiful sitting room. Maybe you've just bought a house and you're worried about wasting money and buying the wrong furniture. Or if you know somebody, maybe your daughter or your son has, buy them this course as a gift, because not only do they have the online course and all the live backup in the group, I'm there in that group every single day. So if somebody needs to hop on a call, or if they need to ask me something, I've already done this week with 2 people, both who were so appreciative and so, what was the word? One girl had said she was so overwhelmed and was so worried because her project, gorgeous project, an old farmhouse, family house, but they're modernizing it and extending it. And she needed, this is going to be their forever home. She needed to get this right. And already, we have got, they're pouring their finds this weekend. So we needed to work through layouts and stuff. I did that with her. And, I can't tell you the joy that this gives me too. I'm saying that I think I might do a mixture of Scandi and mid-century. Does that make sense? Yes, it does. In fact, Scandi and mid-century work beautifully together. So if you know your own style, run with it. And then you impose that gorgeous style that is yours and unique to your house, but it gets the flow right, So if you've got a Scandi mid-century look going on, your flooring is obviously going to be very, very important, because that's going to set the tone for everything that you have, and your colors as well. Very easy style to live with, absolutely gorgeous. So anyway, if anybody is interested in never again wasting another euro, and in fact, another thing I want you to stop doing as well is to don't be making random purchases. Don't be guilty of shiny object syndromes. You see something in your lighting shop and it's on offer and you buy it. Or you're in TK Maxx and you see, I don't know, cushions or something, and you buy them because you like them. Stop doing that right now. I want you to have a plan. This is a time when you must have a plan. You will find what you're looking for far quicker when you know what it is. And ironically, and I know this from experience, when you have a plan and you know exactly what you want for this particular room, it's almost like the universe just delivers what you need at your price point. When you don't know what you want, and maybe your contractor or your tiler or your joiner or your painter is putting pressure on you, rightly so, because they need to get in and get out. They've given you this time frame and you haven't made your decisions. You haven't picked what you want for your home. And then you're doing things for the wrong reason. I think just as in life, sometimes if you do things on a whim or without thinking it through, it tends to be the wrong decision. So your home is so important. I don't want you wasting money, but I also want you to create a home that nurtures you, that calms you, that, no matter what sort of uncertain times we're going through, and we've been through a few, we've been through COVID, we've been through so much upheaval in the world, we've been through economic challenges, and yet we still need our home to really support us and nurture us. So I've given you a lot to think about there, but do, or even watch over this video again. If anybody's watching on the replay, send me a little hashtag replay and let me know that you popped in later on. And if you've got a question, ask it here, specific question to you. But that's what I want you to do. I want you to stop wasting money in your home right now. Just stop right now and do try. If you've never tried shopping your house, it is a revelation. It's amazing, because you get so used to seeing things, and just brings so much energy, even moving your art around. Or maybe you've got a big mirror in your hall or in a spare bedroom. Try putting it above your sofa, because the sofa looks out onto your garden, so that everyone in the room will enjoy that beautiful view of the room through the mirror. So I'm going to put a note here. I put a little link here for my course. Do share the word around. It costs €297, and there's a 3-month payment plan. It's an 8-week course, and you're going to love it. The girls who are there already, and we've got a global audience already. We've got a gorgeous lady from Bermuda and somebody from California who have both bought condos that they are going to completely dress and decorate and kit out. But listen, yeah, and if you know anybody who's building, renovating, decorating, or struggling a little bit at the minute, just send them my way, and I will certainly and gladly, with a heart and a half, help them, because I know already, I can see how much it has helped the girls that are already there. So join the party. It's a fun, positive, wonderful place, but full of practical, hands-on interior design knowledge. This is different. This course is different. I don't think there's another course in the world like it, to be honest, because it's online, but I'm there as well in that group all the time, giving one-to-one support. So listen, go have a wonderful, wonderful rest of today. I'll be back again tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and tomorrow I'm going to be talking about, it's going to be about wellness and health next week, and I'm going to be talking about saying no to sitting, and I'm going to show you how I've stopped saying no to sitting and the way it has changed my life in many ways. So listen, I'm away for a 10K walk now. I won't be sitting. I'll be walking, and I'll be back here tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So listen, thanks a million for tuning in. Have a gorgeous rest of the day, and stay safe, stay fabulous. In a heartbeat, it'll be 1 o'clock tomorrow, and I'll be back again.